Before we get started, guys, I want to thank everybody for traveling out here. Any of you guys had to fly or drive, I truly appreciate it. Spending a few days with me and paying money to come all the way out here and learn is meaningful to me, so thank you very much. All right, so what we're going to do today, guys, I hope some of you guys have been to a seminar with me before, so this is not just going to be informational, meaning it's going to be an actual practice. So the goal of this seminar is to take the concepts and theories of Jiu-Jitsu, combine them with the constraints-led approach, and put you guys through a practice so you understand exactly why and how I design the games the way that I do. We're going to do about 90 minutes worth of work with some theory in between, and then we're going to take the last 30 minutes. We can sit around and question and answer. If you guys have questions about the practice that I did, stuff you're doing at your own gym, I'm willing to sit down with you as long as it takes to answer those questions for you at the end of practice. So if you are taking notes, feel free to take notes on the questions you might want to ask as I move along. Today, the lesson we call pitting is passing. It's the idea that if we want to start to hold somebody still, pinning and passing do the same exact thing. Whether I'm in front of legs or I'm past legs, my job is to hold someone down to the floor and immobilize them so I can strangle and break. Anytime we take a specific situation that we're going to work in Jiu-Jitsu, we have to understand the fundamental problems that position is going to cause. So for example, if I want to pin a body, we're going to start past the legs. If I want to pin a body to the floor, no matter what I do, there's going to be 3 invariant things that I must focus on doing to solve all the problems that are going to be presented to me while I'm trying to hold a body down. We either have to make chest-to-chest or chest-to-back contact. We have to cover the hips and shoulders simultaneously. Now, while we're trying to keep chest-to-chest or chest-to-back contact and cover the hips and shoulders simultaneously, there are 4 problems that we're going to try to solve to hold our partner still so we can keep them pinned to the mat. The problems we're going to try to solve are limb extension. This is the bottom person's pushing us away. So if I'm in front of somebody, pushing me away. The second problem we're going to have to solve is limb retraction. This is when the limbs come back in front of us to essentially push us away. We have rotation, and then we have basing. This is when they touch the ground with their points. And so, again, chest-to-back contact, cover hips and shoulders, solves those 4 problems. So far, do you understand what I'm saying to you guys? Now, if these are the central problems, then the best way to learn about these problems is to experience them. If we were teaching ourselves or new students, we would put them in these situations and present the problems to each other. We would have one person do something like push the other person away, and then the other person will be trying to stop it. Now, we don't learn by trying to memorize things, okay? Our movements are not centrally controlled, meaning we don't store the information like I just told you in our brain. We have to experience it. The movements come out as a relationship between me, the person, the environment that I'm working in, that's my partner in the room and the floor and everything, and the tasks that I do. So understanding the problem, having a clear focus for action starts to develop this relationship between me, the environment, and the things I do. So again, every game is designed with this in mind. Does this make sense to you guys? All right, so we're gonna get started right away. So we're gonna start all the way at the end. So we're gonna start with our partner's hips covered, chest to chest and shoulders covered by way of double underhook. So we're going to start with both of our arms underneath our opponent's elbows. And this game is going to be simple. For the top player, our job is continuous. Our job is to keep our partner's hips covered any way we can, shoulders covered any way we can, and we want to keep our arms under both our partner's arms. No matter where our partner goes, turn your belly. My job, no matter where they go underneath me, is to keep hips covered, shoulders covered, chest to back, and I have to stay under the elbows. So it's continuous until these conditions are lost. Bottom player's job, no matter where they go, no matter how they do it, their job is to get both their elbows back to touch their body. If the bottom player gets both elbows back to touch their body, they win the game. So again, it's continuous for me, so just move around. I'm trying to keep him pinned, and I'm trying to stay underneath his elbows as my partner moves, turn your belly. As long as I stay under the elbows, we continue to fight, and you can do this any way that you can. It doesn't matter where you go, as long as you're under both elbows. Under one, it's continuous. If you lose both, bring elbows up, you lose the game. You're gonna change top to bottom every time the bottom player gets their elbows free. You guys understand what I'm asking you to do? Let's give it a shot. 1, 2, 3. So think about this, when you're thinking about training yourself or you're thinking about training your students or creating a class, how can we prepare our students to solve problems that they have not yet experienced? Imagine if I sat here and told you all the things that you're gonna have to worry about in this round that was about to come up, but you've never touched a body before. How would you know what a problem actually is? So by doing live resistance work, even something as simple as this, stay chest to chest or chest to back, cover shoulders, cover hips, and stay under the elbows, that's a simple thing. Any human in the world can start acting like this day one. This allows them to feel what it's like to do something to another body. And as they face problems like, oh, I wasn't able to stay under the elbows, now the things we tell ourselves next make sense, right? If I were to say all that shit before and I was never able to do it, it would almost be meaningless. Okay, so one of the reasons we use live resistance is because we want people to start working right away, face the problems we want them to solve, and then the information we give them as coaches or as trainers start to make more sense. Now, before we move to the next game, I want to look more about why the 4 problems are what they are: limb extension, limb retraction, rotation, and basing. So again, we're assuming body on top of us, but I want you to look at something real quick. You've heard me say this before. If you listen to me, you probably listen to me if you're here, is we play the game of immobilization as it leads to strangulation and breaking. So immobility or mobility is a physical thing that we do, right? So if we look at the way someone gets up off the floor, we can see these problems present. So in the most simple way, if I want to get up off the ground, there are 2 things I would really have to do in any order, really. I'd have to rotate myself to reduce whatever weight I'm carrying. And in the most simple sense, I have to press off the floor to start getting up. So we could say that you are less mobile when you're flat, you are more mobile when you're on your side, you are more mobile when you have base points on the ground. So if we know this is how a body gets up off the floor, and I'm a human trying to control another human by keeping them on the floor, then it would make sense to stop the things that would get someone off the ground. Does this make sense to you guys? Now, what's special about limb retraction and pushing is that this is how we move weight. Now, rotation moves weight as well, but either way, I want you to see this. So if I want to create space, basic pushes create space. But if you, even when I did a basic push, I'm rotating, I'm basing, I'm limb retracting. This is what I'm doing to get up off the ground. So these are why these are the foundational problems we must solve. Does this make sense to you guys? Yeah? Any questions so far? All right, so we're gonna get back into the mounted position here. We're gonna start with our partner's hips covered and shoulders covered, but this time we're not gonna have position underneath our partner's elbows. So top player's job, we're gonna still make sure we keep the hips covered at all times. We keep the shoulders covered at all times, and we want to stay chest to chest or chest to back. So no matter where it goes, as long as we fulfill those conditions, we continue to play. Now, to win this game, we're going to try to get both of our arms underneath our opponent's elbows. So you can do this any way that you would like, but your job is to get both of your arms underneath your opponent's elbows, and if you connect your hands in any way, you win the game. Bottom player, your job is to use your hands and push on your partner's hips and knees. You're gonna push your partner to either A, get your knees back in front in any way. It doesn't matter what it looks like. If your knees get back in front, no matter what it looks like, bottom player, you win the game. Or if you make top player fall over as you're pushing. Simple enough? All right, grab your partner. Let's get back to work. 1, 2, 3. I had like about 4 people in here say, what do you want me to do again? Now, the reason this is important is this. All I asked you to do is cover the hips and shoulders, chest and back, and get both hands locked on your partner's elbows. That was it. Can you imagine if I sat up here for 20 minutes and gave you a diatribe of where you're supposed to put your hands and feet based on their reaction? You couldn't remember 4 things, right? So it's simple. When you get into the complex environment, you start engaging, even with something as simple as cover hips, cover shoulders, cover chest, cover back, so much is happening that it's hard to pick up what the hell is actually going on. And that's what we're trying to do. I always say this all the time, we don't move in a vacuum. Our movements are relative to the context in which they're used. So if we know that our job is to hold our partner flat by having a few small conditions met, then that's all we have to focus on doing. So no matter how the problem arises in the pinning situation, all pins function if we're able to cover hips, cover shoulders, chest to chest or chest to back, and then we do whatever else we do. The pin will continuously function if we're able to complete these objectives. Do you guys understand what I'm showing you and what I'm saying? Yes, sir. All right, so now we're gonna turn our partner away and we're gonna start chest to back. Now, like I said, we got to experience being pushed. That's in the last game. We got to experience retraction. That was in the first game. And a little bit of rotation, but we don't really control it yet. So now we're really gonna highlight the rotation piece. Can you stop somebody from turning if you wanna pin them? So we're gonna start chest to back. We're gonna start with one of our arms over our partner's shoulder and one of our arms under our partner's shoulder. Now, you don't have to stay here. You can switch your grips up however you would like to try to solve the problem. There's only one rule for the attacking player. At no time can you put your legs in front of your partner's hips. So you cannot put your hooks in any way, shape, or form. Now I'm saying hooks because I'm assuming you guys have trained before. But either way, don't get your legs involved. Your legs can go anywhere on the back side of the body. They can help you do whatever you want. Just roll your face. Whatever you want, they just can't become hooks. And your only job is to keep chest to back contact no matter where you go, no matter where you end up. As long as you're behind your opponent, you continue to play. Now it's gonna be continuous for the attacking player. The defending player, your only job is to try to remove your partner's connections and turn to face. Does everyone understand what I'm asking them to do? Let's give it a shot.
You can transition your seat up.
You may move your hands to solve the problem however you would like. You can use any piece of your body to solve the problem however you would like, but your job is to stay behind your opponent. At no time, however, can you put your hooks in. That's the only constraint of the round. You guys got it? Let's play one. Excuse me.
Bottom of the mountain was turning your face.
Yeah. Even if you get mounted, you win. So again, stay behind your opponent. Let's go, 1, 2, 3. Before I start speaking, I had a great question I want to address up here in front of everybody. But before I do, does anybody have any comments, questions, or concerns about anything they just experienced? Any thought they might have about playing this game and maybe what it means to you, what it might mean to trying to get your students to do this? Yes, Andres?
Do you have any concerns? I felt like when I escaped a lot, I gave up my foot. Like I think he heel hooked me.
For sure.
Are there any concerns as to that when we're on the defense where we're not thinking about all these other variables?
Well, we don't know. Because right now we're trying to help you understand the nature of rotation and how you're going to stop it, right? So again, we can't worry about the problems that we're not yet facing. See, this is the issue. Let's imagine we had to take a student from day one to however long they want to stop training. Where do we start them with all the things that could happen? I mean, every beginner is going to get trashed when they play a regular game because they don't know how to play the game. But we want to get them to start understanding how the game is played at a fundamental level. And that's what we worry about. The idea here is that behavior begets behavior, meaning there must be something we do to build on something else. We can't put all the behaviors in at once. We got to start with something simple. So of course these problems are going to arise, but you have to let them play out in the whole game to see them arise. And then once we do, we can design practice structures around solving these problems. But again, we can't solve them all at first. Think about it. I've known you for a long time. We've been training forever. Were you able to stop rotation every single time? You know what I'm saying? So there's still a lot there that we can explore to enhance even our own abilities, not to mention what's happening at the beginner level.
So you just don't, if the focus is just that, everything else is irrelevant. The focus purely is just stopping the rotation. So
Yeah.
disregard other stuff.
Well, it's not irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. It's just irrelevant in this training session now. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not coming up. Again, let's imagine this lesson was a week and we were here at my gym and we were teaching passing and pinning. Everything we do would be relative to trying to get that basic behavior and then the problems we face throughout that week. And then as we know our students, as we grow, as things change, we have to shift our practices around to solve these problems that will arise in the future. This is why there's no one-size-fits-all game. Do you know what I mean? Because again, I'm showing you guys how to start the process by taking a fundamental concept and then building task focuses on it. But that's not the only answer, because again, things will come up. Yes, sir. Please.
And for you, when you're looking at this, you're looking at like, okay, just maintaining this and refocusing grips and like maybe where your chin is at and some of the alignment of. I think.
No, keep asking.
I think
Yeah.
I answered my own question, but that's the goals that you're trying to like what you want to see. Like, what are you trying to get out of it?
Condition and effect. What conditions do we experience that create what effects? So if you want to teach a person that if I want to pin a body, I can't allow rotation, for example, we got to put our students in a situation where they can create the conditions that stop the effect of rotation, effectively stop rotation. So that's what we're trying to get out of it. Can I effectively stop you from turning? Now we can design that practice many ways. This is just one way that we could do it. Does that make sense to you?
And then so just in like direct reference to this drill, is that a bad word here?
Blame it, dude. Nah,
Just kidding.
we call it whatever you want.
Do you find personally, maybe this is an unanswerable question, that like majority of the time hand fighting then rotation, and then obviously there's like a novel experience of sometimes pitching them off the back without.
Well,
hand
think about
fighting
this.
first. But like 80% of the time, hand fight first, then rotation.
Let's think about that. You're asking about priority. What do I do first? So the first thing I'll say is situations dictate tactics. So the situation will call what you do first. But if you say there was the strongest thing you could do when you're on someone's back to stop rotation, if you could pick one thing, what would it be? Simple, what would it be? That's it? That was the strongest thing? Oh, you did it. What's the strongest thing? Connect your hands. Holding on to something that's moving is the best way we can not let it move. So if I were the defending player and someone is squeezing me and not letting me move, where do you think my attention most likely would go most of the time? To the connection, because that's the problem. Even if we don't get out, once that connection breaks, would you think we have more or less degrees of control? Less, of course, right? And so yes. So if we wanted to teach a priority, that's why, and I said, what was the task focus of the defending player? Remove the connections and what? Turn to face. Every defensive maneuver you've ever seen is a combination of those two things. Now, I'm going to go for one more second, then we're going to move on. I want to show you something. No matter if someone's behind you, no matter where we are, there's only two things that are ever happening. Moving connections and turning to face. Every defensive cool tactic you've ever seen is a degree of that. So look, that's turning to face. I'm starting to put something back in front of my opponent so I can deal with those connections. Any fancy thing that you've ever seen done, if I were to dive through and Granby and try to get my partner to follow, I'm turning to face. Do you see what I mean? So that's why those were your tasks, because they make up the foundation of how we defend the position. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Now, sorry, back still. Now we're going to try to start completing the pin. So here's the idea. We're gonna start with just one condition met. We're gonna start with our hands locked around our partner's waist, and our partner's gonna be on their side. So the reason I'm choosing this situation is now we're going to be exposed to all 4 of the problems at once. I only have my opponent's hips. I'm in front of their arms. I'm not under the elbows. They might be able to get their knees back in front. Their shoulders are disconnected so they can rotate. And since their arms are free, they can base. So I'm gonna have to face all the problems here. This is why we're starting this way. So we're gonna start with our hands connected around our opponent's waist. Top player, hands on us. So for us to win the game, top players, we have to complete everything we just did. And it doesn't matter which order it's done in, as long as all the conditions are met, you win the game. So we're gonna try to make chest to chest or chest to back contact. Yeah, turn, okay. We have to get under both elbows with connected hands, and we have to cover the hips. Turn away. So again, we have to cover the hips, we have to get chest to chest or chest to back contact, and we have to connect our hands under both elbows. It doesn't matter how it presents, as long as you fulfill these 3 conditions in any order, you win the game. Do you understand what I'm asking you to do?
Hooks in at the end if you take it back.
Hooks are an example of what? Covering the hips. Bottom player. You can solve this problem in 3 ways. Get both your legs back in front, not just your knees. Roll me over. Become the top player. Or stand up. Even if I'm still connected, standing wins. You guys got it? Let's play. 1, 2, 3. Questions, comments, concerns, impressions before we move on? You can't be tired already. We've only done, 24 minutes worth of work. Yep.
I found it really insightful when you broke it down. I was like, now I'm dealing with extension. Now I'm dealing with retraction. Just like identifying it.
For sure.
Just trying to stop it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we just had the same comment over here. So the idea is that we start exposing you to a series of problems. We start simply first. Stay under elbows. Now, even when we're doing something as simple as we did in the first game, stay under elbows, you're still experiencing the effects of retraction, extension, rotation, and basing, but you only have one point of focus, and you're trying to organize everything you do around that one point. This is how learning starts. And then as each game, we progress backwards, making it more complex. Complex meaning you had more to face. Okay, you just had, again, it wasn't just stay under elbows. Now it was, oh, now I got to keep I have to get under the elbows. Oh shit, that's harder. Well, now I'm at the hips. Now I got to get under the elbows, cover the hips, cover the chest, cover the back. So we just make it more complex as we go along. But as we increase the complexity, we start to see that the puzzle is very simple human puzzle. It makes much more sense when we look at things as pushing and pulling and rotating and pressing off the floor rather than kisses of dragons and barambolos. I mean, that's cool language and whatnot, and once we have the shared experience, we can use it. But without that initial shared experience of what we're actually trying to do, that shit becomes bloated and meaningless ultimately. So, again, this is why we build a foundation off human movement and human behavior rather than some idealized version of it. All right, so now we're gonna start getting into passing, but we're gonna repeat this situation one more time, but we're gonna shift the focus a little bit, okay? So we gave you the broad task of chest to back, get under both elbows, cover the hips. Now, we're gonna start learning the process of segmentation. So the reason we have to start learning the process of segmentation is because we just worked on immobilization, right? So that's the basis of the framework. The next is we attack the periphery to gain access to center mass. This is just periphery is the thing that stick out. In this case, the arms, and when we get to passing, it's gonna be the legs. So we're gonna start with a peripheral connection that we have to bypass to get to center mass. but we're gonna focus our tasks more specifically to try to learn how to get this done. So the basic idea of segmentation is simple. In order for the defending player to prevent me getting center mass, he has to present things to us. The things he presents come in segments: hands and wrists, then elbows, then shoulders, okay? So we're gonna start in the same way, and the win conditions are the exact same as the previous game. Some of you use common language that you all know now. Mount or back mount with connected hands wins you the game. Bottom player, full guard recovery, reversal, or standing. Same as last game. You guys with me? We're just gonna shift the task focus. So now, our first job is to remove our opponent's hands. So if our partner's pressing on us, it's gonna be difficult to initiate chest-to-chest or chest-to-back contact. So while staying connected, we wanna try to remove the hands. It doesn't matter which one we start to remove first, but we gotta get the hands off of us. The second thing we're looking to do is get under or behind elbows. Now, it doesn't matter with what part of our body we do so. Getting behind elbows, getting under elbows, it doesn't matter how it presents. Clear hands, get under elbows, and then the last task is to try to complete the game by connecting to your partner's shoulders and then trying to cover the hips. So, remove hands, get under or behind elbows, and then to win the game, I have to cover the hips and connect my hands, either chest to chest or chest to back. It does not need to be double underhooks this time, just any shoulder connection with connected hands. Do you guys understand what I'm asking you to do? Yep. Let's play. 1, 2, 3. All right, so now let's continue the segmentation process for laying back. So now we're gonna start in front of our partner's legs, and we're gonna start with one leg in between our opponent's knees. Now, it does not matter where we start, okay? We can start anywhere, it does not matter, but we have to start with our hands on our opponent. Now, our job is simple. We need to get our hands connected around our opponent's hips or around our partner's shoulders. That's it. So, sorry, that's not it. Let me stop. We have to stay on top and hold our partner down. I just assumed this. So we have to stay on top and hold our partner down, and we're looking to try to get rid of what's in front of us so we can go connect to the shoulders. And it means any way, any closed hand connection around the shoulders roll. Doesn't matter, wins the game. Any closed hand connection around the hips wins the game. Bottom player, your only job is to make top player hit their butt. If top player hits their butt, they lose the game. You guys got it? Let's play. 1, 2, 3. So in the last game, the top player's job was to stay on top, hold their partner down. while trying to connect around their hips and shoulders, however way they could, right? So that was their job. So bottom player, what did I tell you to do? Make top player hit their butt. Did I tell you how to go about that? Nah, just play, right? Someone asked me, what if I wrestled up? Well, did it make your partner hit their butt? Great. What if I use this hook leg position I saw on YouTube? Does that work? Did it hit their butt? Sweet, right? So the thing is it doesn't matter what we start with. We just want to start engaging. And if we know what we're going towards, this makes our movements make sense. Again, we don't move in a vacuum, okay? We move in the context in which those movements are required, okay? And if you didn't know anything, it's fine. You get to experience what it's like to touch a body. And I'm trying to make that explicitly clear. So please forgive me if I keep saying it over and over again. Now, before we keep going, we're almost finished. Questions, comments, concerns, impressions about what we've done so far? Yes, sir.
Previous two games were super similar. They're similar, but it was the tasks were slightly different. So is this something you do where the games are very similar, but you focus on a specific task with the movement in a different direction within the same game?
Absolutely. Because we could say that there's like a few invariant things that have to happen. So let's say, imagine, like we said in the beginning, to pin a body, we have to cover the hips, cover the shoulders, chest to back to pin a body, right? Well, how many different ways can we create a task to do that? We could start them perpendicular, parallel, start them hip facing, head facing. We could start them many different situations. And if the situation changed, the tasks would change, right? Because situations dictate tactics. So we can explore the pinning function through a myriad of alignment, connection, and movement. And the tasks we create are going to be relative to what we want our students to experience. Now, we're going to do the question and answer session, so we're going to talk about, after this is over, exactly how we come up with those tasks. Okay, I'm trying to show it here that if we know the problem we're trying to solve and we know how our partner solves that problem, then it informs the tasks directly. For example, if someone rotates off the mat, task is simple. Don't let them rotate. Keep their shoulders and hips on the mat. You guys get that? All right. So now, starting partner down in front of their feet. Now, we already got introduced to this when we started at the hip. Our job was to get to our partner's shoulders through segmentation. That is, moving their hands so we can get under behind the elbows to find shoulder connection. Now, we're dealing with legs. We're essentially doing the exact same thing. It gets more difficult because they're legs. They're not arms. Okay, they're stronger. So we're going to start in front of our opponent, completely disconnected. Our first job is to get a hold of our partner's feet and deny connection. We don't want our partner's feet touching us at any time. So as our partner tries to put their feet on us, we're not going to let them. We're going to try to keep those feet off of us as we work. Now, just like we did with the arms, we're going to try to get in between or behind the knees. Okay, so the idea is that when we keep the feet off of us, we're going to try to get one line closer by stepping anywhere in between our partner's knees or outside of our partner's knees. We have to all do this while holding our partner down. So again, get a hold of the feet so they can't get on you. Step in between or outside the knees, all while holding your partner down. Now, just like the previous game, you win at any time if you connect your hands around the hips or the shoulders, no matter how they're facing. All right? Bottom player's job is to connect the top player with hands and feet any way they can. And just like before, make top player hit their butt. Simple enough?
Do you have to stay on supine, like on your back, yes?
They have to start there, but they don't have to stay there. Let's play. 1, 2, 3. Now, something I want you to just consider before we get to this next one is everything that you've done today is what we do in our basics class at my gym. So if you were to be brand new, like these games we play are how we would start. So just keep that in mind. We didn't do anything complex, nothing that took any memory, very simple things. Yes?
Do you split your classes up by levels?
Yeah.
Like a
So we only have 3 different levels. We have foundations. This is basically designed with anyone from no training to 2 years in mind. We have our all levels, where that would be 2 years and forever. And then the comp team is my select group of guys that have a standard at which they need to practice. So you can only become a member of our comp team if you train on the comp schedule. Otherwise, you can't be a member. So that's how we separate the levels, so that our comp guys don't necessarily have to always be with people that are not performing at the same level that they are. All right. So real quick, now we're going to try to play the entire process out. We play the game of immobilization as it leads to strangulation and breaking. To do this, we have to attack our opponent's periphery so we can gain access to center mass. Once we gain access to center mass, we hold it still so that we can isolate and re-attack the periphery. To do this, we must make and maintain connection for the purpose of managing distance through, in this case, segmentation and immobilization. This is literally everything you did today. All the games were designed with that framework in mind. You didn't do a single task, focus, or situation that framework does not describe. So we're going to end it all today with this. Your partner's going to start seated. Your partner wins if they make you hit your butt, or they get up and connect around your body while you're standing. Our job is to put our opponent on their back or get behind our opponent. We win if we fulfill 3 conditions. After we put them on their back, if we make chest-to-chest contact, cover the hips, and connect around the shoulders, we win the game. If we make chest-to-back contact, connect to the shoulders, cover the hips, we win the game. Its simplicity just disgusts me sometimes. It's awful. All right, last one. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. I want to give you guys a little freedom here, so we're going to split the room. If you guys just want to do some more rolling with each other, meet some people, have some fun, whatever, let's get some people on this side. If you guys want to stick around and ask questions about what we did today, stuff you're doing in your own training, stuff you're doing in your own classroom, points of confusion, whether it has to be with jiu-jitsu or constraints that approach directly, I want to spend the next however long it takes to answer those questions for you. Okay, so hope you enjoyed the combination of both information and actual application. I feel like a lot of times when you just hear someone talk about something over and over again, we get lost in the sauce. But once you see how it's applied, you can see its simplicity. And so that's really my goal every time I do these types of seminars, is to show you we can easily take a concept and we can easily put it into practice to get our students to start learning these complex behaviors. All right? So again, we're all finished with that stuff, guys. So good work today. Thank you very much for listening to me speak and trying it. So again, if you guys want to train some more, split off. Otherwise, scoot over here. And if you want to sit around and ask some questions and talk, feel free.